Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we'll be talking about recovering Walmart deductions. With SupplyPike, we'll also be talking about a few additional solutions that we do provide. Um, Thank you for joining us. Like I said, my name is Hudson Bercier. I'm one of the product managers for SupplyPike, specifically on the Walmart solution. So let's get right into it. SupplyPike's goal, simply put, is to enable suppliers to get paid and get better with software that identifies, recovers, and helps prevent deductions and compliance issues. So let's take a quick look at the problem that we're intending to solve here. So Walmart disputing can require so many different confusing apps. Retail Link being one of them. So Retail Link has had a minimal modern updates and is kind of unclear and somewhat confusing. And the average claim can take up to 18 steps, 28 clicks, and even 30 minutes to complete. One simple error can result in a canceled or rejected claim, so you got to be very careful there. So an outdated and unclear portal. There's lack of data and context, or lack of data context. Um, it can be time consuming and an involved dispute process. And then all that being said, too, there's a complex shipping document process that takes place here. You want to make sure you have the right proof documentation, especially for those shortage codes. You want to make sure you have the right shipping documents. That can require talking to a lot of teams, getting everything together and uploaded to actually provide in the dispute. The key metrics: 5.8% of Walmart invoices are lost to deductions. That is huge. And then, like we mentioned before, about 30 minutes is the time it takes to sort of research and dispute every deduction. And some deductions, may take longer depending on your particular process, what the issue might be, and what you're intending to use to dispute. So that's sort of the problem that is in front of us here. So that's where SupplyPike comes in. So specifically for our Walmart solution, we are intending to improve your Walmart supply chain with unmatched visibility, automated disputing, and actionable insights. Our seamless integrations with Retail Link, carriers, and even third-party logistics companies empower you to view deduction details in one place so you can better understand the cost to serve to Walmart. So this is going to include, and we'll talk a little bit today as we sort of dive into the app, but we're going to cover deductions, post audits, compliance fines and charges, even overages. And so a nice little metric here, SupplyPike Walmart recovery. We've seen over 700 million recovered in rev loss for Walmart suppliers, which is great. Happy to be here and to continue to help our suppliers make sure that they recover every single dollar that they are owed. And then that way they can continue to operate as they should be and focus on other issues that they might be having. Let's move on to a different problem, similar to what we talked about before. So this specifically is going to be the on time and in full issue. So this is one of the compliance programs that Walmart has. That's going to relate to issues with being on time in addition to being in full when you're shipping your product to Walmart. Walmart uses the OTIF compliance to measure the success of its suppliers. Failure to comply can result in poor sales, out of stocks, and customer dissatisfaction. Not to mention the costly fines, poor line reviews, and possible expulsion. We want to avoid that as much as possible, make sure that everyone is doing what they're supposed to. Your product gets to Walmart on time and in full. That way it can hit shelves as it is supposed to be, and let the consumer purchase as normal. So with that being said, there's disconnected data, costly fines associated, multiple portals again, and then a lack of visibility. Few key metrics is 90% or 90 plus percent is Walmart's high OTIF goal for their suppliers. So very stringent, very difficult to achieve, but it is possible. But we want to help call out any sort of invalid or valid scenarios to help the supplier understand whether they need to dispute or even learn about ways they can get better and improve their business with Walmart. Upwards of 3% fee with Walmart can be charged to you per cost of goods sold for each non-compliant case. So that can really add up if you're not careful. So you being on top of this, connecting that data and avoiding some of these costly fines can kind of help the supplier stay afloat and make sure that they're getting product on the shelves on time and in full. So that's where SupplyPike additionally comes in. We have a very full-fledged solution around in full disputing recovery. This is the metric that we see most recoverability on. Although it's not super high, it is still relevant to keep an eye on, especially for those invalid scenarios. Detailed data helps give the how and the why of where fines come from and the scores that are important for review with your buyer. Retailing can only keep detailed data for 3 months. We store it forever, making disputing a breeze. So like I just mentioned, we've got infinite data storage, so we can help you look historically to see any particular patterns you might be noticing. One-click disputing to make it easy to dispute those invalid charges. Shipping document integration, along with a clear 3-month OTIF backlog. So that way, when you onboard, you can take care of the last 3 months, which would be a quarter. And since Walmart has switched over to the quarterly disputing method rather than the month, this would be key to making sure you're onboarded and ready to go. And that way we can take care of the most recent quarter and dispute any invalid charges there. So some metrics around SupplyPike OTIF recovery: 11% of info fines recovered, in addition to 33% of fines reduced per case. These are just averages, but great to see there. And with that being said, we've had the honor and privilege of helping a lot of different suppliers across different retailers. 500 plus, in fact, have recovered more than $850 million total. So we're, trying to do better every day, and we're just barely scratching the surfaces on the solutions that we provide. We provide in-depth knowledge and features in order to help you not only get paid, but get better at the end of the day, making you the perfect supplier for Walmart. So let's take a quick look through the agenda. So we wanted to take a quick app overview through each of the Walmart solutions. So what is SupplyPike from Walmart? How does it dispute my deductions? We'll go through a dashboard, some disputes, additional added functionality. We'll even go over some new 2024 features, including overages and root cause. And we'll now take a look at SupplyPike for Walmart. All right. So we are here on the Walmart SupplyPike solution. This one specifically is for the deduction solution. This is going to be related to AP deductions, such as your shortages, returns, allowances, even pricing. And so as we're starting here on the dashboard, you'll see we have a couple different features I wanted to highlight here. So, if you're wondering, hey, I'd like to know where my deductions stand, what are the big groups of rev loss, and like what's affecting our bottom line the most? The dashboard's going to be a great place for you to start to get that sort of information. So at the top, we have deductions management health. This is kind of show you, hey, how is SupplyPike help us recover deductions, and what deductions have been audited, bulk disputed. Where are we currently sitting in terms of deductions as a percentage of invoiced? And then deductions cleared. That's a great metric to look at as well. See how much you've cleared out your deductions in relation to the whole group. As we move down, we've got a deductions breakdown, which again will give you another great high-level overview of where are you sitting? How many deductions have you received over a period of time? What's still actionable? What's related awaiting repayment? And then at the end of the day, which is super important, what have we gotten paid back? That way you can sort of start to see the big picture on where you guys are sitting as a business in regards to deductions. Breaking it down just a hair further, you want to understand, okay, I know that we have all these deductions, we've been disputing, but where are we sitting in terms of the statuses of our deductions, and where do we need to work? So that's where the deductions by status graph comes into play. You can see the deductions that are sitting in statuses such as not disputed, what's still in progress with Walmart research and supplier action, what's been paid. In addition to, okay, we didn't get payment, we didn't get approval. What is sitting in the denied bucket or even canceled? In addition to showing what potentially you settled on, And then at the end of the day, after potentially getting paid in full or even archiving a deduction that you deem as valid, um, closing that out and being able to see that bucket as well to see a true picture of what is left out there that you either haven't closed, have not disputed, or any action like that. Breaking it down just a hair further, let's see, what deductions are most hitting your bottom line. For this particular example here, something we commonly see is shortage issues, whether that's a potential misreceiving situation or a potential supplier situation. Breaking down deductions by claim code can give you a great overview of what are the main areas of hurt when it comes to AP deductions. And you'll see that they're highlighted blue. You'll actually be able to click on these, and we won't do that right this second, but you'll be able to click on these and go over to the list view page to specifically filter for those kinds. So if you're curious, hey, we've got a lot of code 22s. Let's go ahead and start taking a deeper dive into what those are and go ahead and start disputing those. And so you can click on those and they'll take you to the list view page there. Getting into root causes. So as we sort of do our backend logic and sort of look into a little deeper into maybe, hey, why did this deduction happen? And what are some potential recommended actions that we can take from here on out? So we're, sort of grouping these by different types, some being receiving errors, invoicing errors, invalid deductions, and so on and so forth. This will kind of help you group potential issues that could be happening and grouping those together. That's going to have similar functionality to the codes where you can actually select those and go over to the deductions list for you to see the group of deductions that are related to that particular issue. And so wanting to highlight, what might have happened, looks like for this group of deductions, you shift in full per the ASN. Let's take a deeper dive in why we're getting deductions there. And then a few other cards that we're actually showing as well is how are we looking over time? Are we seeing a particular spike on certain months or even a year time period? And you can kind of compare and contrast over which years you want to select and see, okay, so it looks like April and August, we're seeing significant spikes in deductions. And you can actually filter the dashboard by code. So you can see, okay, for code 22s, are we seeing particular spikes that we need to pay attention to and potentially prepare for in the future? And that way you can have a better understanding of how your deductions are falling over time. Getting a little bit deeper, just want to highlight a few more things. So we've got claim lines by item number. So as one will provide which particular items were on the deduction that they're issuing. You can take a look and see, okay, for this practical bronze table, looks like this is the source of a lot of our deductions. Let's take a look and make sure that there's nothing on our end that we can't be doing to sort of improve that process and make sure that this particular item doesn't see as many deductions in the future. If there's anything that could change or may change after that. Again, looking into the location, see if there's a particular DC that is seeing a majority of your deductions, including a deductions amount by amount as well, to sort of see, hey, do we have a particular threshold of our disputing that we can see here and to see like, okay, if we have a threshold of $100, how much of that is under $100? What could we be potentially missing out on if we're not disputing those? And you can clearly see here what that might look like from an amount or even a count as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and hop into the deductions list view. So as you'll notice, actually, no, what we're going to do that real quick. I want to show the settings page really quickly. So one big thing I wanted to call out as a solution we provide, deductions management can be very tedious, where a particular supplier might have numerous amount of deductions across many different categories. I want to be sort of hands off with that process. And then that way we can sort of start to see the money coming in on those invalid scenarios we already know are happening, but SupplyPike is actually making that judgment for us. So that's where auto disputing comes into play. If you want to have that hands-off approach and be able to go in and have SupplyPike actually dispute on your behalf, you don't have to do a single thing. As long as you click on auto dispute and select the criteria you want, we've got the rest taken care of. With our shipping document integration, we're going to grab those proof documents for you and attach them to the correct codes that they need to go to. And then that way you can be completely hands off with specific codes that you wanted to go after. Some of those code groupings are shortages, pricing, allowances, and even return codes. So if you want to have a hands-off approach in disputing your deductions, auto dispute is definitely the route to go down. And then just as a quick highlight for these other settings features, we have auto archive. So if there's a particular code that you know is always going to be valid, you want to sort of get out of the way and close those out. You can actually select which code you want to auto archive, and we will again do that on your behalf and make sure that those are auto archived for you. In addition, we have the auto hide feature. So if there's some code that you don't necessarily want to close out, but you just don't want to see in front of you, you have a different workflow you'd like to go down, such as I only work on shortage codes. You can use the auto hide feature to actually hide particular deductions that you don't want to see. Excuse me, in SupplyPike. So this will apply to future claims in addition to previously existing claims as well. One of the last things besides dispute reasons, supplier agreements, we wanted to sort of aggregate supplier agreements from Retail Link itself, where we're grabbing the documents, the particular 9-digit vendor number that applies to it, the effective date, and making sure that we grab the allowances that are related to it. This would be super, super helpful for disputing those allowance deductions, and even the returns deductions. If you have defective merchandise allowance, that can be very key there as well. And then the last setting I wanted to kind of go over today was the dispute reasons. So if you have a particular code or set of codes in which, hey, I have a specific reason that I like to use for these set of codes, you can do that in SupplyPike today. You can actually select the codes you would like to apply to and put a specific default reason to that. And then that way, once you have it set up and you save it, you can actually, it will update on your behalf on all the current and upcoming deductions for that particular dispute reason. And then that way, you don't have to go in and edit those dispute reasons. You can send it off as is and be taken care of from there. Now we've moved on to the deductions list view, where you're going to be able to start to take a little bit of a deeper dive into our disputing capabilities as well as our archiving capabilities. So here you'll see at the top, we have different buckets which will represent different workflows that you might take when doing deductions management. So first, we're in the urgent bucket. This is going to be for deductions in which it needs your urgent attention. So this could be deductions that are close to expiration. This could be deductions that are in supplier action. And really the purpose of this one is making sure that you capture all the opportunity that you can before they go away. And then that way you don't miss a single penny to go after. We have the new tab as well. This is going to be pretty much the rest of the deductions that have not been disputed or paid yet, or been specifically archived. So this is going to be an encompassing list of things that have not been paid. These are going to be not disputed deductions, so on and so forth. And so this is going to be a pretty complete list of deductions that need fresh eyes to be disputed, archived, or anything like that. We'll have the follow-up tab, which will get into codes that you need to follow up on. If the deduction falls under a couple buckets, like being in supplier action, like we mentioned before, if they have not been fully paid out yet based on what you disputed or been approved on, they've been denied. Essentially, we're trying to highlight buckets here in which, okay, I want a specific workflow where I need to see things that have already seen a set of eyes at first. We've already potentially disputed them, but let's make sure to follow up on anything that needs to have additional action. Make sure that they're denied disputes that are reviewed, and then that way, if we need to send off another dispute, we can from this bucket. Or if we deem them as valid, you could go ahead and archive those and send them on their way. And so this is another great bucket to go through in your workflow process as you're going from urgent all the way through. And then that way you make sure you follow up on anything you need to and not miss a single thing. In progress, that's pretty self-explanatory, but essentially we're capturing all the deductions that are currently in Walmart's hands. So you've already sent off your dispute, you've attached your documentation, and everything is said and done from your side. You can just wait for Walmart to respond back to your dispute attempt, and they will be bucketed right here for you to filter to in case you need to go back and review and see the details there. Moving on to the Resolves tab, this bucket is going to contain anything that is completely done. Whether it's something was approved and fully paid out, whether it's something that you've archived and deemed as valid, or even archived it as in you're completely done in general and you just don't want to dispute it any further. So this is going to be a great bucket to look and review to see, okay, let's take a look at specific codes that we've resolved and see, where we shook out. And you can also, of course, do that on the dashboard with those high-level metrics. But this is a better way to sort of take a deeper dive into those deductions that are resolved. And then, of course, we have our All tab, which is going to contain all the deductions that you've received and put them all in one list. So this is going to be all the different statuses like we've mentioned, all the codes, and so on and so forth. So from here, just wanted to highlight just a few other features we have and specific problems that they may solve for you as a user. Essentially, what we want to highlight here is on the readiness filter, we've got validity. So just as a quick overview, SupplyPike is using the data that is provided from Walmart's own system to sort of make a judgment on a particular deduction for you. And then that way you don't have to do the manual work to look and actually see if a deduction is invalid or not. We're doing that on your behalf, and you can actually filter for it. So you can go through the process of, hey, I just want to go into SupplyPike and I want to find the deductions that are invalid or likely invalid. That way I can know, okay, now I've got a full and complete list of the deductions that, SupplyPike thinks is recoverable. And then that way we can go ahead and give it a dispute attempt, and I'll go ahead and show off this great feature. So if you're not using our auto disputing feature, you wanted to get a little more in depth, get a little more hands-on with your disputing management, you can actually go in and do these bulk actions. So for this particular tab, we have a few different options in which you can go through. The first being the edit of deductions. You can add documents that you needed to add, go put an internal note. We might need to cut this out actually. So updated was disputed with SupplyPike is an admin feature. I might just not click into that. Okay. So now that we have a few deductions selected, there are a few options you can go through. You can edit deductions by potentially adding like a document or even adding an internal note, or you can choose to archive or unarchive the deductions that you do have selected, which is great functionality. And then we go back really quickly to the new tab to showcase this right here. So like I mentioned, if you're going through the process of wanting to be a little more hands-on with your dispute management, you can actually bulk dispute your deductions based on what's on the list. So you'll go ahead and select the deductions. You can unselect some of these, and then you can hit submit disputes there on the right. And then that way you can see what's going on there and send those disputes off. And then like I mentioned with the shipping document integration, we should have all the proof documents you need. And so really all you have to do is select the deductions you'd like to submit, and then go ahead and click submit disputes. All right. Navigate back to the All tab again. So other great filters that will be useful for you. So if you're looking for deductions that are not disputed, if you're looking to review the ones that have been denied or canceled, you can do that with just a few clicks of a button. And be able to see any and all of the statuses that are reflected from Walmart's own system. And if you're looking to dive into a specific code, we've got all the different codes that will show up for a particular supplier here in the code filter. Root cause, like I mentioned on the dashboard, we're breaking down these root causes and grouping them up to showcase, hey, what potential errors or what potential scenarios are taking place on my deductions, and you can actually filter for it here, and that way you can sort of start to dive deeper there. In addition, like we mentioned with documents and the shipping document integration, you can double check, hey, I want to see which deductions have a proof of delivery, which deductions have a bill of lading, or even deductions that are without those. And maybe we don't have a particular document attached to a deduction, but we can make sure that we can check this and see where we need to follow up and ensure that the document gets to the right place. In addition, we have date and amount filters, and that way you can specifically look for a date range that you're looking at. or even above or below certain amounts, or even in between certain amounts, depending on the workflow you'd like to go through. And then last but not least, we have the more filters, which will give you a little bit of a deeper dive into other potential filtering options, such as what is the current paid status of my deduction? What is the archived status or trait on my deduction? I want to see things that are not archived and I still need to work on or close out the loop on that one. And then even disputing by or filtering by dispute type, department, dispute count, dispute portals, and then other different metrics you'd like to see as well, like failed disputes, what was auto disputed, and then what was disputed through SupplyPike. One of the last things I wanted to call out here as well is the export functionality. So depending on what is on your page and what you're filtered to, you can actually export this data either at a deduction level or even a claim line level. That way, if you need to do some pivoting or some deeper research, you can begin to do that with this export. And then that way you can start to take a deeper dive there. And then one more thing I wanted to showcase was this fun little feature here. So a lot of times, if you have a lot of different denied deductions, let's say we're in the follow-up bucket here, I want to take a quick look and see why Walmart denied some of these claims. So you can see here, we're quickly highlighting what was the Walmart message based on the response of the denied dispute. And then that way you can know particularly which ones you need to dive into first rather than others, and then go from there. Let's dive a little bit into the deduction details. So, as you have a lot of different deductions that can fall into different categories, there's a lot of pertinent information that comes with a deduction. And so what the details page is doing is providing a lot of that easy to view and easy to use to dispute. So if you're diving into a deduction, you'll see pertinent information about the code, where the specific claim lines that are related. And if you've disputed it before, you'll have dispute information that'll be provided and even payment information. So as you're taking a look here, we'll highlight dispute documents, some that we've provided for you. And if you want to add any additional ones, you can do that as well. And then getting into pertinent order information, check lines to see where it came off a check and maybe where it got paid back. Another great card we have on here is the root cause card. We've been mentioning root cause throughout this discussion. It's to take a little bit of a deeper dive into what might have happened on the deduction. So we wanted to sort of provide a judgment of, if it's invalid or valid, and then get into a few details on why we think what happened and the pertinent details that can help you understand, okay, based on this item, on this shortage, what happened? They ordered 20. Looks like we don't have the shipped information. That's okay. Maybe we didn't send an ASN. And then we ended up invoicing for 20, but Walmart didn't receive anything. Then when we can take a little bit of a deeper dive on what's going on here, and then a few actions to consider. So that is a great card to view if you want to dive just a little bit deeper into the root cause of a particular deduction. And this is going to be not only for shortage codes, but it's going to be for allowances and for pricing as well. So that is great to view there. All right, now we have moved on to the overages section of the Walmart solution. Just as a quick overview, overages in the context of Walmart is the comparison between what Walmart received in the value of goods and what you've actually been paid for. So we're presenting these opportunities to the supplier in order to see what's out there in the world of overages and what are potential billing opportunities that we can capture to make sure that we close the loop on the shortage and overage situation, in which we know there might be some misreceiving situations that take place at the receiving DC. So a few quick things I wanted to highlight here. First of them is the sort of high-level metrics at the top. So we'll show the billable amount, which will show you the total across all the POs that we're grabbing for you, and see what that dollar amount totals to, in addition to the overage payments. So when you start to invoice Walmart for these overages and we start to see payments coming through on checks, we can help you keep track of your effort on the payment side to see the success from there. And as you'll see on the list view, we have grouped these by month. You can select any and all that you would like to, and go ahead and select from one of the three reporting options. The first being detailed overages, which is going to get into very detailed report based on the POs that are involved on the overages, and the information you'll need to sort of have a deeper understanding and even to bill for. But if you want something a little more straightforward, and I just want to, hey, I don't need to know the details and the context. I just need to know what POs and items do I need to bill for in order to capture this opportunity. And so that's what the billable overages report is going to be used for. And then when everything is said and done, I've already invoiced Walmart for the POs that I've chosen. I'd like to see the results, and I want an easy way to view that. And so that's where the paid overages report is going to be useful there, because then you'll get to see, what POs you invoiced for, what was the invoice number related to that, and then what was the ending result. Did Walmart pay it in full? Did they issue a deduction, and anything in between that? And then that way you can easily see from a document format on how everything shook out. And so, yeah, I think that should be it for overages. Another great solution that we have at SupplyPike under the Walmart umbrella is our post audits page. So this is going to give you a great breakdown and list view of the post audits that you might be receiving. So similar to how we're seeing it on the deduction side, we're going to give you a post audits breakdown, show you how many post audits, how much is that totaling to from a dollar perspective, and how much have you gotten paid back and recovered from those efforts. So as you'll see, we're showing in a list view format the types of post audits you're getting, what audit year they're related to, and the check information that is relevant there. That way, then you can see, okay, looks like we're getting a lot of these markdown billings or merchandise said to be combined for lower freight costs. We might want to tackle a few of these and see if we can recover anything there. And so this page is great for visibility, as there's not anywhere else in Walmart where you can specifically see and have this kind of visibility. They do originally come from checks, but we've aggregated that data in order to best showcase the total list of post audits that you do have currently open right now. If you're using our SupplyPike post audit service, you will see that our team will keep the particular post audits that we are working up to date. We will add a status and even provide notes for you to see particular information and see how things are going. And then that way you have all the information you need as we're reviewing those deductions. So that's great. All right. Now we have moved on to our OTIF solution. So as you can see here on the screen, we've got a dashboard for your on-time and in-full charges. There are a few key things I wanted to highlight here as we're looking through the Walmart compliance program of OTIF. So we've broken this down so you can see things like fines over time, see specific compliance trends, and you can even select particular months that you want to focus and hone in on. And then that way you can see other information such as this summary card right here, where you're seeing, hey, looks like we fell below the score we needed for prepaid on time. And so how does that specifically shake out on the cases, and what invoiced fines were present at the end of the day whenever this was said and done. And then that way you can kind of see where you're sitting from a supplier score and invoiced fine perspective. And then similar to what you'll see in Retail Link, we've got some high level metrics. So like total cases ordered, cases received, unfilled cases, so on and so forth. And even breaking down the PO accountability to, specific things that fell under OTIF, things that were not in full, prepaid, early and late delivery, and then the other metrics that do fall under OTIF. And then before we move on to the analysis piece, you can actually export this data, whether you want to just go ahead and grab the entire dashboard into PDF, or if you want to export specifically the PO data or PO line data. And then that way you can take a deeper dive using the data that we've provided and that we've grabbed from Walmart's system. Moving on to the analysis tab, this is a great way to take a deeper dive into your OTIF finds and all of the POs that are related to them. And so here we're wanting to, like see what kind of factors do we need to look at in sort of taking a deeper dive on how OTIF is going, what items might be affected, what carriers, origins, anything like that. So for this particular example, let's take a look at the items here. So I want to know what items are being most affected by, let's say, the consumables in full metric of OTIF. And that way we can see, okay, um, taking a look at this particular item, the jar hair gel, how are we performing? Oh no, it looks like we're scoring pretty low when it comes to the in full supplier score. And so that might be an item to keep an eye on when you're sort of doing a deep analysis on what particular items might be affecting your business the most when it comes to in full finds, and what can we do in the future to sort of help improve and make sure that that doesn't happen in the future. Another thing I wanted to highlight as well is if you wanted to see a whole scorecard and really take a deep dive on your finds and on purchase orders that were related to this item, you can create a whole other OTIF scorecard for this. So we selected that item where we're giving you pertinent information at the top. And you can start to take a look here at a few things that we're wanting to highlight for, let's say, fines over time and even compliance trends. And then you can actually go over here and select any purchase orders that you'd like to view for that particular month and that particular item that you've selected. So we'll go ahead and go back to the analysis tab. And as you're looking around and taking a deeper dive into specific factors on what could be going on, let's really leverage this data to sort of have a better understanding of what we can do going forward to improve our OTIF scores potentially. Looking at carriers, looking at origins, departments, destinations, vendor numbers, and even creating custom segments where you can combine certain items with certain carriers or any combination that you'd like to in order to best deeper dive into your data. All right, we are now on the orders page where we're going to sort of highlight the purchase orders related to the month you selected. And then we're going to help you sort of take a look, okay, based on the on time or the in full metrics, where do these POs sort of end up? And did they receive specific fines? So let's see, for the month of October, we've seen that these particular POs saw compliance issues where there was 1 or 10 or even 8 cases that were not in full when they arrived at the Walmart DC. And that way you can kind of see the full list of purchase orders that are related here. Once you've kind of taken a look at this, and if you're thinking, okay, I feel like a lot of these are invalid. SupplyPike is telling me that about 1,200 of these saw an ASIN discrepancy where we said we shipped what we did. So I want to select these PO numbers and go ahead and use the single click dispute POs button. And then that way you can send these off to HighRadius to be disputed and reviewed. And then that way, all you have to do at that point is just wait for a response to see if it was accepted or rejected based on HighRadius's review materials. So a really nice and easy dispute process that you can do. You can select specific POs, but what we recommend in SupplyPike is, especially for the info metric, is to go ahead and dispute everything here. All right. And then let's go ahead and take just a deeper dive into one of these POs. So if you select one of the POs on the list, you'll be able to take a deeper dive, like I mentioned, on the details here. So we're going to show all the relevant details that we're pulling from Retail Link in order to sort of see what's going on, what is this related to, and what are the identifiers that are on it. Getting a little bit into the compliance issue. So this one particularly was not in full for the particular invoice fine of $1.27. And then you can kind of see some pertinent information like ASN shipped, dash received match. You know, there was one not in full case. When there's 350 shipped, but only 349 were received based on their data. And you can see more information similar to the context we were just looking at purchase order lines in relationship to the OTIF metrics as well. So that is great and wonderful information to view. Last but not least, we have our disputes tab, which this is going to help you get a very clean look at, okay, we've submitted disputes to HighRadius in relationship to the on-time or in-full metrics for OTIF. Now let's take a look at the disputes that we've submitted. What are the results of them? And start to take some action from here. So it looks like we've got this one right here where you submitted a dispute and Walmart did approve it for $134. We could take a look at the dispute resolution. What exactly did they say in response? Let's look at the previous dispute description that we provided, and then all of the pertinent details for you to go back and review, especially for those that were rejected potentially. You could see why exactly Walmart denied it. You could see what was related to it, how much you disputed for, and see how we could potentially take next steps here, such as disputing again or learning how we can get better from here. All right, and the last Walmart solution piece that we're going to be showing today is the SQEP solution. And so very similar to the OTIF solution, SQEP is going to sort of give you some high-level dashboard items such as the charges over time, defect trends, in addition to this summary information. And like I mentioned before, SQEP is another compliance program of Walmart where they're sort of making sure that suppliers are meeting their standards when it comes to very specific categories. And so some of these are highlighted here if you're not aware. We've got a lot of different categories that fall under SQEP, such as ASIN compliance and PO line accuracy. And so what we're doing here is showing you for this particular month in summary, which particular compliance issues did we have when it relates to SQEP, and what were the potential defects or sub-defects that were taking place here. And similar to OTIF, you could select the month right here and look at a particular period of time to sort of take a deeper dive on your defects. Okay. Similar to OTIF as well, you can actually export any information that you might need, whether that's for deeper analysis or even disputing capabilities as well. On the defects list view here, we are showing all the different types of defect categories that could take place. And so some of these for this particular month, we saw, let's see, overage defects that took place. And so we're showing a list view of which POs were involved, what was the defect type, and other relevant information to help you take a deeper dive. So let's say that we want to select this particular PO. Similar to OTIF, we're going to show the PO details. We're even going to show you SQEP defect images. This particular one didn't have images. And for this particular category, they're not going to be images as well. However, for categories such as packaging compliance or even pallet compliance, we're going to show you all the relevant information that comes from Walmart's own system in which they've taken a picture upon receiving of the items that they received. And if there was a particular defect that took place, they would take a picture of that as sort of proof or evidence of what happened. And then that way you can review and actually download these images here to either review back with the team, see if there's anything we can do better, or if there's a situation where it's not even your item, it's not even the correct box, then you can download the image and include it in a dispute as well to sort of fight back on those instances as well. And then a few different things you can filter for here in SQEP, similar to OTIF. You can look through vendors or defect type, even the defect source, and potential in-full alignments here as well. And then here at the top, you can actually see the high-level breakdown of, okay, for this particular month, for this particular vendor, how do we sort of shake out in terms of all the different categories under SQEP? For, let's say, like PO line accuracy, we saw $2,866 and charges for that particular defect. So I might want to focus there. And then you can take this information and export it from here. And then that way you can start to build your dispute package to submit in high radius, and go from there. All right, and that sort of wraps us up there. Thank you for joining us in this conversation talking about the SupplyPike Walmart solutions. We got to cover all things deductions, overages, and even compliance fines, and got to see some of the key features that we released in 2024, and some things we're excited about in 2025 coming soon. One of those being the AR chargebacks feature, which is going to be those charges that come through on high radius, including things like OTIF and SQEP, so we can get an all-in-one page to view and have disputing capabilities on those. So very excited for that. So again, thank you for joining us. You feel free to look for us and contact us on our website, supplypike.com, and feel free to reach out to us there and find any additional resources you'd like to view there. Thank you very much.